Some 20 years ago, day one of my college campus life, I got to know a bunch of new roommates. I was having a difficult time to fit in because a couple of guys were speaking the Minnan dialect, which was like a foreign language to me. As I was trying to figure out what was going on around me, a guy approached me, pointing to the apples at placed on my table, saying, "Can I have one?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" It was like, thank God, finally, the ice-breaking conversation. I passed him an apple. He took it with one hand, the other hand reaching into his pocket, and then producing a coin of 1 RMB in front of me. I was kind of confused, asking him, "So this is," he said, "the money for the apple." That really took me, because as a typical Dongbaiyuan, that was something unthinkable. It was like I sold an apple to a new friend. Really, really weird. After quite a few seconds, I came back and said, "You're so kind, but you really don't have to pay. It's no big deal." He placed the coin on my table and said firmly, "Dude, this is how things roll." What I was thinking was, come on, man, you really have to make a drama out of this. This is ridiculous. So that was my takeaway from my day one on the college campus. Fujian people are nuts. And it turned out that Fujian people are not nuts. They're good. It was not until my college days that I came to know there is something in this world called going Dutch. I lived in Dongbei for 18 years, and during the 18 years, each person paying for himself never happened. Now I had to get used to going Dutch, and gradually I found this way really cool. You don't have to worry about which person to fill the bill after the party, and that's something in Dongbei you definitely have to worry about. In Fujian, we don't have such worries. We go Dutch. This was really cool. And I gradually got close with the guy who bought my apple. I was one of the very few guys he could talk with because people were trying to avoid him because he spoke English. Right, we guys majored in English, but most English majors don't speak English all the time. That's the rule that is basically known by every English major. But this guy did speak English all the time. He spoke really good English, but other people did not. So, as a matter of course, he got kind of isolated. He was talking English all the time, and I was one of the few that occasionally talked back in English. That made us kind of close. But this guy was difficult. Back then, we guys often ate at a Shaxian food stand on campus, and every time we ate there, this guy spoke English. He always began like, "Hey Larry, you know what?" And I had to remind him, "Dude, this is in public. Speaking English is just making sure of ourselves. It's weird." And he said, "Easy, dude. We're English majors. Speaking English is a matter of course. Do you see those people laughing and pointing? These stupid asses are just jealous of us speaking English." I was like, okay, you're right, but could you at least keep it down? I don't want to be the comedian of the group. And he said, "Okay, I'll try." This guy was a rebel among us, and a lot of people did avoid him, mostly because he knows what to pursue and just doesn't give a shit what other people make of him. We became good friends, and he taught me a lot in terms of English study. What might surprise you guys is that this guy had already finished quite some English original novels like Lolita during his high school time. I'm telling you, even now, Lolita is a tough read for me. And he tackled that as a high schooler. He helped me a lot, and I have to admit, during my early days of learning English, his help, this very mentorship, was really meaningful to me. One day, he came to me and said, "Dude, I'm in love." I said, "Wow, that's not bad. Just ask her out." He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna ask her out to hit the books." I was like, "What? A serious dude to ask her out to hit the books in the classroom?" And that was the end of it. He asked her out to study, and that was the extent of the romance. No sparks flew. I was dead before it even started. Days passed, and our graduation was near, and something bad happened. He got seriously sick with a deadly illness. I don't want to name it, but he had to be hospitalized. We went to see him in the hospital, and it was a shock to see him so calm, even though he was facing a life-or-death situation. He talked about his treatment and possible surgery like it was no big deal, and it was truly impressive to see someone handle such a difficult situation with such grace. That's what I call being cool. It was really hard, but he made it. He survived the disease and came back okay. So this story goes on. Years passed, and we both ended up going to grad school, him in Shanghai and me in Fujian. It was great to catch up and see how far we both had come. And working in the real world was boring, so going back to school was a great way to challenge ourselves again. Maybe? It was a mistake. One day he caught me, saying, "Dude, do you want to make a difference?" I said, "How?" He said, let's start some entrepreneurship. I said, okay. So we started a little translation agency in Shanghai. And later we came up with the idea of setting up an online translation platform. Now that's something I have already shared with you guys in my previous video. The startup didn't last long and we went separate ways. I still remember back then he was trying really hard to make me stay, saying, let's get back to our translation business. Translation business is okay, it just takes time to pay off. I just didn't listen because I really hate translation. Even though my English is pretty up to the job, it's just too boring and stupid. So we broke up. I went to pursue a new career in tech and he stuck to translation. About 5 years later, I was still struggling in the internet industry and he was making big bucks. He got some clients from the US and was making a fortune out of it. Finally, his consistency and perseverance paid off. So look, persistence does work. I jumped ship thinking I was right, but actually I missed the very opportunity. But that's not the point of this video. I'm not trying to give any lesson about career selection. Now, this guy has made a fortune. How do you think he's gonna spend the rest of his life? If you were in his shoes, how would you spend the rest of yours? This guy, he chose to learn Japanese. Imagine a rich man hitting the books every day. It's mind-blowing, right? I'm really in awe of this dude because he's so different. We're friends, but we don't talk much through QQ or WeChat because he's difficult. Talking to him is never pleasing. He is assertive and he has the right of being in the right. But he is so great. He is always doing something that other people can only aspire to. The other day, he called me saying, dude, I'm going to Indonesia. I said, what? Indonesia? He explained, I'm now really into medicine and I want to get a doctoral degree of medicine. And it seems that studying in Indonesia is not bad. I'm gonna start from scratch. Again, I was flabbergasted, like the time he slapped a coin on my table 20 years ago.